a conscious creator, supporting healing. The world is a wild and beautiful place. We are constantly evolving as a human race. I truly believe this is a time for greatness. Everyone is invited to embody the light, living life as love and shining bright. The shackles of fear breaking once and for all. This is a song for all the rainbow warriors, the brilliant ones leading the way. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. I had no other choice. There was only truth. When I opened my eyes, I was brand new. I am forever free. Nothing in my way. Field of infinite wisdom. This is where I play. The world is a wild and beautiful place. We are constantly evolving as a human race. I truly believe this is a time for greatness. Everyone is invited to embody the light, living life as love and shining bright. The shackles of fear breaking once and for all. Oh, this is a song for all the rainbow warriors, the brilliant ones leading the way. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Unity consciousness weaving across our planet, remembering we are rising as one. The world is a wild and beautiful place. We are constantly evolving as a human race. I truly believe this is a time for greatness. Everyone is invited to embody the light, living life as love and shining bright. The shackles of fear breaking once and for all. Oh, this is a song for all the rainbow warriors, the brilliant ones leading the way. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, oh. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho.
Hey, good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Oops, so I was supposed to pause that. I wanted to share that song with you. That is from Thea, and it is called Time of Greatness. What a beautiful song, and what a great time for greatness. So I'm super excited today. I'll be doing my first interview here on this show, one of hopefully many, and I'm so honored to be hosting Dror Ashuah, who is the author of the Conversation with Angel books that I am always, always talking about. So before I tell you about Dror, there's a lot to share about this wonderful individual. I wanted to share with you how I came about these books and what they have done for my life and how they're especially playing out right now during this pandemic time. So I first came across his books in 2012, 2013. And I was in Portland at the time. I was going through a big awakening of my own. Tracy is volume 2. So this is the first volume. Whoop, I don't know if you can see it. I don't know how my camera is doing today. Melissa, is my camera okay? Let me know. Send me a message because I have another camera I can hook up if it's not working. But here's the first one. I'm just going to show you all the books. They really have some simple messages on the beginning, and so be it. Another one that says, and so be it on it. Also, it's time. And then the latest one that I'm so excited to have is, Are You Ready? Are you ready? So imagine that I'm given these books and they have a special language in it, a special energetic language in it that I understand very well. And they've been able to give me tools, right, to undo a lot of trauma responses and patterns of self-sabotage because it has awakened inside of me a divinity, a type of spirituality that is of my own energy signature. Like everybody has their own. A couple other things just so people know where I'm coming from. I baptized a Christian, so some people ask me about that too. They're like, well, are you religious? Right. I got to a certain point in my spiritual evolution where had more questions and I needed to go further, and I had felt stuck and stagnant. And I was really looking for something that was wholesome, right? That was, but inclusive. I don't know how else to explain it, right? But these books were so prolific, right? They were teaching me how to navigate in a time that hadn't happened yet, which is now, right? In this big evolutionary time. So I'm reading from these books more and more every day. I'm using them now to like lead in the show. They have a language of their own. And as you engage with that language, really, it has its own alchemy in how it's able to transform through your body. So it's channels from angels, right? Amazing. And I just can't wait for you to meet Dror and see for yourself. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about him and then bring him on here, and we're going to start the interview. So Dror Ashuah is an internationally recognized inspirational speaker, intuitive, and channel. He is the author of the book series Conversation with Angels, a collection of messages on spiritual awakening, received by Dror from angelic or a spiritual realm in preparation for the unprecedented time of global change. Mr. Ashuah earned a master's degree from Harvard University in human development and psychology. His extensive worldwide travels, combined with studies in mysticism, astrology, Reiki, crystals, and shamanism, and I actually believe he's Tantra certified as well, have all contributed to his personal understanding of the messages about human consciousness. Dror's powerful and inspirational workshops reach his attendance in a deep and transformational manner. Dror relays a non-linear worldview about the nature of life on Earth and our greater purpose in the universe, awakening to our divinity and understanding our spiritual role on this earthly journey. So he has a mission too, and I want to go ahead and read this as well so you can kind of get the vibe. It is the grandest time in your history as humans on this planet, and nothing you know will stay the same. The collective energy of the planet is rapidly shifting. Dror gently urges us to move with joy, peace, and balance and love into the next step of planetary evolution and into a higher frequency and vibration. Reality, as we know it, is operating from two sides: the physical dimension and the non-physical higher frequency dimension that is alive with consciousness. So for us to awaken, we must be able to touch with our physical bodies. We must be in touch with our physical bodies and feelings. This story is much grander than what we are told. We are universal angelic consciousness who are part of the essence of God immersed in forgetfulness. It is time to remember and wake up. So, would you guys like to meet Dror? All right, here he is, guys. Hello, welcome.
You build such an expectation that probably people say, "Oh, that's all."
Well, I mean, there's so much more
what a pleasure.
Yeah, there's so much more we can say about you. I mean, I just found out that you're a beekeeper, and I was really impressed with that. And you also have I guess, a community in Mexico, right? Where you have built the schools for children. Tell us about that.
Yeah. I have a center in Mexico, in Tulum, which is a beautiful oasis. And I work a lot with the Mayan, the tribe that really connect to the heart. And I'm fell in love with these people, and some of the community are very in need of support. So we built with a joint group of people, and I led a UN mission to Mexico to begin that project of building a school from recycled bottles and all and solar powered, and it serves about 50 kids. They have the only running toilet in the village, the only faucets, and it's very, very exciting. And now we introduce some music program. It's going to be the first classical violin trained children in the Mayan community in that area. It's amazing.
Wow.
Led by a guy named Kasem, who is was trained in Venezuela, El Sistema. And the violins came, it was an idea of a friend of mine, dear friend of mine named Gisela Strohmeyer. So it's a beautiful running program, and it's still growing. So it's very excited.
Yeah, I love the video that you made showing how you guys built a school out of recycled plastic bottles. Like nothing opens my heart more than that, because I can't stand those single-use plastic water bottles, and they're just everywhere, and they get into the ocean. And I remember for years I would try to tell people, why don't you just filter it and put it in a glass?
Mexico is the biggest consumer of Coca-Cola in the world.
Oh, wow.
So at least we have
Coke bottles.
we can use that questionable achievement to do good.
Oh, that's awesome. I one of these days I would love to come and see it. Don't you also you're building dorms there in like a shape of hexagonal, like
beehive.
A honeycomb, like the bees? Yes.
Yeah, it's the bees have what you call unity consciousness. They're all working in unison, and for the greater beingness of the hive. So for me, it's an amazing demonstration of our potential and a learning tool. And they're just an incredible, loving being. And the school or the center is built based on a hive, on the ratio and the shape, the hexagon.
Yeah, so, the hexagon shape, come to find out, is really a big part of our consciousness and a big part of reprogramming our internal alchemy. Come to find out, it's so connected to water consciousness, and that shape being a very, very stronger, more sustainable.
It's vibratory. It's like when you enter into an hexagon shape, your geometry changes, or your field changes. Everything affects your field, but like crystals, like sound, sound healing is all about changing vibrations. So the hexagon and the ratio and the natural setup is a way to shift consciousness vibrationally, not through words. Words occupy a mental space which is very limited and been overused, utilized, and is not very efficient. So vibration, energy works more direct. It's more truthful, and you cannot manipulate it. I mean, if it's either there or not there. It either works or doesn't work. And
Right.
the angelic words are not about explaining concept. It's actually like a music. It's like music. It's like melody. It actually changes and awakens a certain energetic, cellular level vibration that is very subtle, but it repairs and restores until there is a more yearning to awaken. And those who are ready connect to it. Those who are not ready will just not be able to finish a page. Unfortunately, it's not a mass. It's not for mass consumption. It's for those who are ready to receive that awakening. So it works energetically as well as intellectually, but mostly energetically.
Yeah, and I can feel that. I think it was one of the first times I'd ever connected with a book that spoke my language that I had never seen before in a book. And it validated me as an energetically sensitive person at the time, being in a world that is so addicted to just cognitive behavior,
Yeah.
and so dismissive of emotions.
Yeah.
It was just very validating. So that's one of the reasons why I mentioned to you Oracle cards now that I'm working with Oracle cards as a way to break it down and help like digest it for the masses. Because when you read one chapter, you get a huge, massive download. It's very intense, and I could see how some people couldn't make it through a page without like being maybe.
They actually, in the instruction, if there are instruction, they talk about not to read more than one chapter in every few days because you may get overload. Because it doesn't work intellectually. It's not like you remember what you read. You don't usually remember really the concept, but it percolates into the cellular level. And it's interesting because in the beginning I had an editor who I love dearly who wanted to change and reduce the amount of times the sentence "we love you" repeats itself. And he gave me the edited version, and I said, I can't. They don't allow it. It has to be there. It repeats itself because the cells need to hear it. It's not. Maybe English-wise, it's not poetic as it could be, but energetically, that's what is required. And I had to actually paste back those deletions.
Oh wow! And it works too, right? It works. I learned this in Korean when I was doing Korean yoga. That as we're doing it, we're like, "Oh, I love you, my heart. I love you, my face. I love you, my arms." And you start to reprogram a language to yourself, because oftentimes our language to ourselves is so hateful. And what we've been given, no matter what color, shape, or size we're in, is our literal physical gift from God, right? It is like the place to start off with divinity really is honoring the form.
It's interesting because we always, most of us who was in the Abrahamic religions, like let's say, or even in Buddhism, there's a lot of love thy neighbor or love someone else. And in the angelic vocabulary, or let's say conceptual cosmology, you have to start with loving the self, because you cannot really express love to others unless you have learned to love yourself. And when you're not really accepting yourself or loving yourself, you're malleable. You're able to be manipulated much more easier, to be controlled much easier. to be susceptible to fear, to be susceptible to influences that do not serve your larger I am, your expansive you. When you begin to love yourself and accept yourself, your energy field is getting stronger and stronger, that people can get close to you in that sense, to just affect you, manipulate you, to become what you call a consumer of other agendas. There's a beautiful, beautiful message in the fourth book. I think it's called The End Game. And
I read that. Yeah, I read that.
And it talks about that the war is on your attention. Actually, it's where, and the end game is where you totally control where you put your attention. And that's when you withdraw from those forces that you consider maybe dark, or they're trying to manipulate you, that's where they have no power anymore. So there is a beautiful analogy that dark can never take over light, because dark is passive. When you bring dark into a room with a candle, the dark cannot overtake the candle. But when you bring a candle into a dark room, the whole room is lit. So there is a bias in this universe, and that bias is love, and that bias is light. Dark has its place, and it serves a purpose, and it's here to stay, because it's a universal free will. But or at least this world is with free will. But light is always stronger, because it's active. So you have to literally invite darkness and cover your light in order to be susceptible to these forces.
Thank you. Wow. I was into that. I was just back to the books. What you were saying is so true, because so many times I learned something amazing from one of the books, right? And I'm trying to recall it, like trying to recall the words and the principle. And I go to the book and I reread the chapter, and it's like I'm reading something totally different than what I remember. And it's so like I started using a highlighter, because I would go back, but I couldn't find the chapter, or if I did, it was just a different tune. So
it's not linear. It doesn't work linearly. So the first thing you know when you're reading it correctly, that you don't remember saying. And
no.
There's no concept that you can memorize, because if you memorize it, it means that it didn't percolate beyond your mental field. So it needs to just be felt. You just feel, and you don't need to do anything. It works. It works on its own. And it is reading and just kind of digesting it. And I do the same. I'm a student like anyone else. I'm not wiser than anyone else, surely not. And my memory is definitely not better than anyone else. I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, if I had. So, and I myself was going through a very, very difficult time at the time when I was receiving the messages, and I was learning them myself to, before the angelic, let's say, field merged with me at some point, I was like, usually people meet it when they go through crisis, tragedy, drama. For me, it was the opposite. I was at the peak of my, I just retired. I was 42 years old. I sold my business. I said, never again. I was living in a beautiful loft in New York City, and going to cafes and contemplate life. Life couldn't be just taking my daughter to school every day, PS 234 in Tribeca, and lived with a beautiful wife who is an artist. We're divorced now. And so at the peak of what I considered like, okay, I'm done. I'm just going to be a servant of my daughter or whatever, I had this meeting, physical meeting with a person who, said to me that he was an angel like me and he wanted to share the messages, and it's time for me to take it down. And from that point on, pretty much, which was December 10th, 2007, my life started going down, imploded completely. So imploded to what I thought was a life I meant to live, which was very comfortable and asleep. And that awakening was not easy. And awakening is never easy, because you have to die to what you think is comfortable. And you have to die to what you think you're afraid of and to what you think you don't know. The dying process is not a physical. Death is only scary because we don't know what's on the other side. If we have known that there's no such thing as death, we wouldn't be so concerned, but we don't believe it because we just don't know. So the process of awakening is what these books are about, and they're preparing us to this time. And this is just one gate. The COVID-19 is one gate of many. It's not it's a process. It's a process of awakening that there's one paragraph that, if you'll allow me, I'll share it with you. That
absolutely.
Should I?
Yes.
Okay. You're the boss. I'm just.
You know what? Just before you share, though.
Okay.
I did not give you the questions of the interview. I haven't asked you any questions yet, and
Okay.
I didn't give them to you.
Okay.
And the first question that I didn't ask you, you already answered, was tell us how long you've been connected with angels and when did it start coming to you? Like, you can't make this up. That was my first question. So
okay.
I thought it was really all right.
December 10th, 2007. A specific date. Okay. I'm just going to read just one paragraph. That it's actually from the third book. It's Time. Yeah. And that was written, I don't know.
It's a big one. This one's
yeah,
big.
Yeah, a few years back. It says, nothing that you know will stay the same. All of you are undergoing a shift that is spiritual, biological, and physical. You are moving from one level to the next higher level. It is not a choice anymore, which is really important to understand. It is not a choice anymore, whether to ascend or not. As your planet is ascending, so that all of you must either join this ride or step off the planet. Step off the planet means physical death. You understand? So the shift that we're looking at is talking about that we are inhabiting this planet. The planet is moving higher. We cannot not move with it. We don't have that choice anymore. We could have selected to do it prior to that, but once it started moving, and it's going to continue and continue, either we stay with it or we step off, which a lot of people are at the moment. So all of you must either join this ride or step off the planet, recharge, and come back more equipped. Come back more equipped is reborn to a new body, as a child. Yeah. So this is. I just wanted to. I mean, sometimes the messages are not so happy-go-lucky. They're truthful, but they
package it in so much love, though.
Yeah. Yes, it's true.
It's what I need to learn, and you have to. I get people telling me all the time, a little less Kali and a little more love.
Yeah, Kali is good. Kali, fire is good. I like fire.
But that's not the only place in those books that the angels talk about people needing to step off the planet. It's not just that one spot. They've mentioned it over and over in the book. And what happens is, now that the ascension has started, there's a Schumann resonance that's changing in Earth. So we actually have a physical vibration that's higher, and our bodies, our cells have to acclimate to that. And they do it through that vibration of love and through consciousness. So it's like a lot of people right now are in a bit of a pressure cooker, feeling that that intensity. And of course, you and I have been through it. The first awakening is the worst one.
Yeah.
It's For me, I remember hours.
It's a worst one only if you resist it.
Yeah.
A lot of there's this tendency when we go through a change to resist a change, unless you already did your homework. Change is uncomfortable, even if you're, let's say, in a unhappy relationship, which I'm sure there are some people that are in a happy relationship, but they don't want to break that. Yeah, they don't want to break that frame because they'll have to change their finances. They have to move to different apartments. It's very uncomfortable. There's kids involved, maybe, or social group, and they're willing to sometimes to go through it their entire life in that kind of mediocre, unhappy phase, just not to fully live their life, their truth, their love, their passion, their kali. And so when that change actually comes and something happens, even though it will serve them, they resist it. Even though it will blow up the relationship, they will want to come back to where their comfort zone was. At least they knew where they were. But if you take the other approach and you like, just hit me, you just go like, you open your arms and you're just like, okay, go for it. I'm game.
That's been
me. Step on me, do whatever. I'm with you. I'm with that energy of change. It's all gifts.
Yeah.
And now there are many people where you're talking about going back to normal. No, in a few weeks, probably the entire country will go back to. Many people don't want to, because it was the first time that they could actually stop that kind of rat race, and look at their life and says, I don't know if I want to go back to where I was. I don't know if I was so happy there. And there will be maybe many children being born after that quarantine, because it was very fertile ground for tantric practices. Yeah, but there will be also a lot of divorces and separations, because
that's true.
People uses a lot of strategies to to not go back to unhappy home, and now when they're stuck together, they realize that that's not going to go. So that shift is toward truth, awakening. A lot of people are much more healthy conscious, because that virus, interestingly enough, hurts those who lead unhealthy, unbalanced life in that sense, with a compromised immune system. So mostly is lifestyle, not genetic. So there's a lot of awakening that has to do with the physical body, with how you treat yourself, and not to be so susceptible. We're experiencing an amazing time, and not easy, but incredibly auspicious and awe-inspiring in so many ways globally. So
I feel that too. I definitely feel that. So one of the questions I had for you, when you're, I know you said that it's this consciousness has sort of merged with you, but in the beginning it was an angel. Is that would you call it an angel that you're connecting with, or angels, or would you call it like divine consciousness code?
Okay, let me dispel the idea that I'm special in that way. Everyone does it. Everyone have the same access, and I do it. And we are a part of an angelic, let's say, group. All of us, you, me, you and I happen to be part of the same group. And that's one of the reasons why these messages connect to you, percolate a lot easier. So you have the same access as I do. But your role in this lifetime is to take beautiful photographs of these very sensual people, and
Yes.
and do this, and be your Kali, and be your loving goddess. And my role was to put down the messages. Now, for me, because I'm so thick and I didn't get it, I actually had a physical person in the beginning says, meet me. It was just a person that followed me in a Starbucks in New York. A very, very lame story. And he just, walked with me right before December 2007, sat with me in a table, and it was Afro-American, looks like Afro-American person with a big afro, like a Sai Baba type, and long white kind of jalabia. I don't know, like a dress, like the Indian wear. And he just sat in front of me, and I thought he wanted money, and he just said, I want to talk to you. And I tried to resist. I couldn't. I felt energetically, but I had no idea what the story is. I still don't. I still, to the day, I don't know how to make it. If someone will ask me what happened, later on, I could sort of make sense of it, but not really. So he basically said, we are angels like you, and we would like to tell you your story. Please take down notes. So in the beginning, I always write notes because I couldn't resist. I don't know why, but he had this authoritative baritone voice. I had my notebook with me. I took the first message, and the first message was the buffet. And then somehow the next day I could hear his voice. It's not like hearing, it's hearing. I could hear his voice. And I could hear a message, and it came very clear and I took it down. It's almost like I had no choice. It's like I would feel like I'm in a kind of an altered state, and I would sit down and just write it down. And so I recognize his voice, but I met only once, and I didn't know what was going on with me. I really didn't. And then everything hit the fan, and my family life and everything that I knew started falling apart, but this remained. And it became stronger and stronger, that contact. And later on, I could make more sense of it. I didn't grow up with angels. I'm Jewish. We don't have really angels as part of our day-to-day. I grew up very sacrilegious, so I grew up in a kibbutz, so we don't have those terminologies. So for me, it was all new. I didn't really know what to make out of it. I was a skeptic, and I still am a skeptic. But it's
That's funny to me. That's so funny.
You know how people sometime in the religious, I know it in the rabbi, Orthodox Jews, they know who God is and what truth is. I don't know anything. I just transfer what I receive, and I learn from it. And each time I'm in awe of the beauty that I feel in my own life. So I continue. But if you'll ask me if I know the truth, I don't. I don't know. I know.
I look at this like this is my perspective, right? I've always tended to put people on a pedestal, and I've had to work through my own processes around that. But you're like a literal embodiment, like the chosen prophet, like God came and said, "You, Dror, you're humble enough to actually do this."
I don't think so.
You have to have a certain level of humility, certain level of that. And it was like, that's it. You've got this job.
I always felt the opposite. I felt like, why choosing me? Choose someone that is totally fired up and and wants to. His mission is to spread the truth. I'm resisting every step of the way. I'm just I don't know. I just put it out there.
Well,
I don't know what truth is.
This doesn't look like resisting to me.
It is resistance. Believe me, there was a lot of resistance in it. It's very convincing when I experienced so many miracles in my personal life and so much beauty and I don't even know how to. It's and I'm so grateful that I've been shown that. And each time each step that I take, I have to really be convinced that I want to do it. I don't just do things and I keep doing it. So somehow it's very convincing.
I would say that there was the chapter I read a couple days ago called The Gate, and it talked about walking through a gate. It's not like confidence where, you walk through a gate so many times, you're good at it. It's always fear there.
Yeah.
But it's always so great when you walk across it. And so my message to people who haven't gone through it yet is your angels want to show they have like reward and blessing for you for doing this. But you don't know until you go through it, and then you can receive that blessing.
It's it's an amazing gift to go through a gate, to see a gate, even to be able to notice that there is a gate. And most resist it and fear it because they don't know what's on the other side. But what's on the other side is always a gift, and it's always an incredible upgrade of your whole energetic system. It's like a rebirth. When you talk about immortality or becoming immortal, the idea is that you moving through lifetimes in one life. You're moving through gate. Each time you are moving through gate, you're being reborn. You don't have to die and reborn into another body. Wow. So when right now humanity as a whole is going through some type of a rebirth, because that gate, it presented itself in what way, in whatever way, as an immense gift. And those who were not ready to move through that gate had to step off the ladder, which is, there's no judgment there, but they'll come back. They'll come back and more equipped and more able to do so with a different consciousness, because we have to. This is our contract with ourselves to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. So how about with everything that's going on right now? So there's many people experiencing heavy energies, and also faced with some real fear. Think like single mothers who don't really have any options.
Yeah.
So what message would the angel bring to them right now?
Okay. I just want to say that I'm just talking for myself. I don't represent the angelic realm, but I can just say that those single mothers have their own angelic entourage. It's part of our constitution. It's not that we can say, I'm a good person, I have them, and I'm a bad person, I don't. All of us have that access. And that access is our birthright, and it's part of our constitution. It's our choice to connect to it or not connect to it, to listen to the whisper or not to listen to the whisper, to follow guidance or to ignore the guidance. But we all know the single mother, the fear, and there's two aspects. There's a fear and there's something that's called pain, loss, and grief that we're going through. The pain, loss, and grief is for something that we think we're lost because we cannot go back to where we were. So even if that single mother used to live on a weekly checks or daily checks or whatever that was, it was enough to sustain. And now even that security is gone. Some people, even that have money or have other things, were right at the edge of breaking, and now all of a sudden something happened that stopped all action in the entire world, and it makes them, forces them to stop that running around. And I can say to these mothers, the people that feel the fear and the grief and the loss, feel it. Go deep into that grief. Go deep into that fear of do not try to medicate yourself or drink or eat or watch TV. Try to just be in your silence and let that move through you, because that's the fastest way to grow from it. And when you're on the other side, that's the time where you can actually begin to embrace what you call love and understand that you're being taken care of and see the miracles coming in. Because when we are believing fear and not feeling it fully, but believing it, we actually creating a self-fulfilled prophecy. We actually, whatever we fear the most, we bring onto our reality. When you allow the fear to move through you and you feel it all the way until you understand that you still exist, you can still breathe. That's all you need, to still breathe and feel your heartbeat. That's all you need to begin with. And from that point on, you become stronger and stronger, and your reality will change into the better, always. So moving through this is very, very important. This is our gate, and this is our opportunity, not to go back straight to work. And I would recommend, as a remedy, if possible, turn off your TVs.
100%.
Just feel, just connect to nature, because that shows you, it springs now. It shows you the process of rebirth. It shows you how strong nature is, how strong we are, how much love there is in all these processes. When you believe what you read in the papers or listen to radios, and a lot of people are now adhering to conspiracy theories. They're rampant. And there's something that I want to read about that, the conspiracy theories, but just that you know that there's no power in the universe that is stronger than you individually. No one can take you over. I have one of my best friends said to me the other day, yeah, but I don't want to lose my liberty because of the Illuminati, and they're going to take over, and people are going to control us, and they're going to put chip. So this is the message that I want to convey. No one can take you over. No one, ever, unless you allow it. So there's no conspiracy in the world. There's no, whatever darkness is luring out there, they cannot take over the light. So if you are not subscribing to it now, if you subscribe to conspiracy theories, and that's what you engage in day and night, and reading and knowing everything by heart, you're engaging with the darkness. That is actually what causes the fear and causes you to lower your vibration and causes you to be weaker and to be able to be manipulated. So get out of that game. It's not a good game. Everyone is competing for your attention. Your attention is your power, your energy. When you don't put your attention in the dark is not there. I'm not saying ignoring processes. I'm not saying not being involved in political actions, but you have to be very, very careful how you engage your attention and what to believe in and what not. Be very, very careful, and definitely be careful with conspiracy, because it's so addictive and it's so persuasive to think that someone out there want to take you over and manipulate you from the beginning, and that's why you're weak and that's why you're suffering. No one can do that to you. Only you can do it to yourself.
Yeah, isn't that great? Shine the light right on me. I have been kind of in the closet conspiracy theory for a while. I guess you could say that, like, I'm aware of these stories and I'm aware of these narratives, and where it ended up triggering me was that this whole thing ended up in healthcare, right? And so I have been completely driven by an enormous amount of passion and action to really get out and expose a lot of that stuff. But I will tell you right now, you're 100% correct, Dror, because I've had days where I can literally feel my energetic body in just too much of it just feels very distorted or very maybe there's other energies coming in, but it doesn't feel centered and grounded all the time. So I have to put space in between those rabbit holes, so to speak. And what ended up shifting this week, especially when I contacted you and decided that we were going to do this interview, was to really bring more of the angels into what I'm talking about, to bring more of just the consciousness aspect of this instead of focusing on all of these other story narratives, which is creating such a huge division in people. And that brought me to a really important question that it's just been on my heart, really, is how am I to communicate to the world unity consciousness when it's something that I've never experienced before? I mean, maybe in a tribe type setting, right? But how do we move from a place of division where we're at now to unity consciousness? What are some of the tools and
Well, it's complicated, but it's very simple. You only look at yourself, and you don't try to do anything to other people because they have to choose. But once you truly imbibe what you call unity consciousness in your cellular level, love to yourself, honoring to sexuality, honoring to the goddess, honoring to earth, that ripple is way more strong than any broadcast that you can do on the radio, on podcast, on TV. You literally become a beacon of that energy. And that's what turns people. It's not words. If words were to change the world would have changed a long time ago to the better. There's plenty of it's energy. It's what you carry. You are the lighthouse is your physical body vibrating. You cannot fool that. When you actually create that as it becomes a vehicle that wherever you walk, whoever you talk to, they don't even need to know your name. They're going to shift. They can't even attribute it to you. They won't say, well, she did it to me. No. You just carry that energy on you. And there is what you call the 100 monkeys effect. People can look it up when there's a very small, what I received in one of the channeling or messages, actually more in meditation, it's not in the message, that you need to put 0.001, like 1/1000% of Earth carrying that unity conscious vibration to create a ripple that can affect the entire planet. So you don't need much. You need a tiny tea light candle in a dark room to change. So so we're talking about 8 million people, let's say, in an 8 billion people world. So every person that changes and awakens affects huge amount of other souls in this planet. So the game is to awaken. We need to awaken, and there is and each person that is awakened, even if your energy awakens just yourself, you will create a huge ripple around you. So that's the work. The work is on self. Forget about the rest. You don't need to preach. You don't need to. People will come to you when they're ready. And if they're not ready, then that's their choice.
Right.
You honor them, even if it's not what you have chosen. You've chosen to awaken. Stay with that. That's your work.
And I've read this so many times in the angel books. I read it and I know it, and yet I still have a tendency, like all of us, to feel like, that this is necessary, like the vanity matrix. How many people are watching my videos?
It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. It's
right.
It doesn't work that way, because if you're not ready, you can, let's say, if you're lactose intolerant and you receive a glass of milk when you're thirsty, it's not going to do well. It's just not going to work well with your. bee stings are very, very strong medicine for most people. They heal, but if you're allergic to it, they can kill you. So it's when you're ready to the medicine of being in unity consciousness, you will awaken to it. You cannot affect people to bring the vibratory rate is when people are ready.
Mm-hmm.
What you can do is you can imbibe it yourself. When you imbibe it yourself, you're actually creating more light so people can see. That's the only thing that you can do. Once they see, they can make a choice. If we are to force people to be more light, then we're not better than the dark. Then we're not better than anything, because the biggest thing that we hear on this planet, the biggest attribute that we come here to this school is to choose. Imagine that the light will take the choice out of this equation. We will say everyone should be happy. It doesn't work that way. Some people don't want to be happy. Let them be what they are.
Right. As somebody like me, a Cancer, and I have this really big, wide spectrum of emotional experience.
I know, Cancer. I was married to one, so.
Oh, there you go. So I just have to say that sometimes Cancer actually likes depression. Like, we're not depressed people at all, but sometimes we like it because we enjoy feeling things. And
it's important. Important. It's important. If you're happy all day long, you don't know what happiness is. You need to feel sad to be happy. You have to have the opposite all the time, because otherwise you just don't know where you're at. Yeah, no, it's not. And I think it's very, very important not to be afraid of the fear of depression. The fear of panic creates a panic, the depression, the anxiety a lot worse. The fear, most people are afraid of being fearful. Most people are afraid of feeling pain, so much so that the pain is way, it accentuates the pain when they actually feel it. So I think the idea is to experience, to observe, and to be very, very soft and gentle with the self, saying, okay, this is what I'm going through now. I still love myself, although I'm feeling like shit. Sorry about my language. And that's okay. And that's okay. And the sun is still shining, and tomorrow may be a better day. But we all want to make our family better, our partners better. It doesn't work that way. When they're ready, they'll shift.
Yeah.
The only way, the mechanics of it is very simple. Work on self.
Yeah, and it really takes a lot of pressure off somebody when they can align with that. Then your energy, you're responsible for your energy. You're not responsible for other people's energy. That seems to me like just the feeling or the thought of, hey, I'm responsible for these other people too. That's an incredible amount of work to put on yourself. And I don't think
it's also false.
that.
It's false. It doesn't work. Even if you subscribe to falsehood, doesn't mean that it makes it right. Mm-hmm. So even if you try to, and you think that you're responsible for these people, it's a falsehood. It doesn't work that way. So you can subscribe it, you can try it your entire life, and in the end of the day, you'll say, well, that was a huge waste of time. So you might as well just don't take responsibility for others. Honor them, honor their choices. It's very, very important to, if you choose a political party or you choose a religion or you choose not to judge other people's for what they chose, but you imbibe what you consider as your light, and fill yourself with self-love. Work on loving the self. When you actually carrying self-love, your love to others is so transformative and so healing, because you literally imbibe it to self. Some people that do not like themselves and they try to heal others, doesn't work. You have to first. It's actually it could be toxic to others when you don't imbibe the self-love. So so we are, we a lot of time we give our power, our strength, our responsibility to others. We give powers to people that seemingly talk to angels or people that are religious. It doesn't work that way. It's 100% self-responsibility, and everyone like myself have access to the same and have the same power. Some choose to listen, some choose to not, but I don't have any advantage over you, and nor do I want to have any advantage over you. And I'm humbled by what people go through, and I think we're an amazing species on an incredible journey to grow, and we are moving through it in a beautiful way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so confirming and validating that you say that, because I have had conversations with myself the past couple days where I keep saying, I need to be the person that I need right now that isn't in the world, right? And that person is a consciousness body coach, right? I need to be my own body
Yeah.
coach. So I'm holding space for beautiful women all the time and create these gorgeous pictures of
I
women.
saw it,
And
yeah.
I have to constantly remind them of this rule in the studio not to put themselves down.
Yeah.
Because it's
Interesting.
that repetitive for most. I mean, women are more out about it. I'm not saying men don't have this problem too. Men absolutely have this problem of how they're, oh, I don't look good today. I might have something in my teeth, or maybe my skin's a little ashy, right? And the camera never like picks up those details. And always we can, we do touch-ups and stuff for photos, but like, this is the space to celebrate yourself, something that we don't really have in our culture or
I think it's
society,
beautiful. I think it's beautiful to
so
celebrate it. Yeah, to celebrate and highlight it, and and
to change the story with yourself, right?
Yeah.
So this has been a huge journey for me. And in fact, so now that you've said all this, it's very validating. I have a summer of a lot of detox to do to get myself ready for what's coming. And so I have to be my own body consciousness coach. But then what I can do is turn that around to and
But
offer that
look what you do. You have your own sensitivity with let's say body image or whatever, and you, as a result, created your gift to others from that perspective. And a lot of actually wounded people become healers.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of some people that were sexually abused became tantric masters, because sometimes the path of the healer is to take their own experience, heal themselves first, and then share their gift with others. And your gift is healing yourself and others at the same time, and that's why it's so powerful, because you're genuinely want to heal yourself. You have this fire and kali of like showing that and compiled with talent, and it's helping many other people to feel better about their life or their image. What a beautiful gift.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think photography is something that, was a God-given gift. And I want to tell everybody out there that we all have it. We all have
Isn't it
it.
amazing? We do. Yeah.
Sometimes it's the thing that we don't allow because we don't have the education, or we don't have whatever money. We just make excuses, and we put what we really are and our talents on the back burner, or not even on the burner at all, for that matter. So when people tap into this stuff, it's amazing what they create.
Yeah, and there's one thing, because I think we're going to run out of time in a minute, but there's one thing that I want to share, and it's more like a little bit of a esoteric, but there's not a single human on earth that is here by mistake or by error. It's very, very accurate, and each person that comes into, there's many in the angelic realm, there's many people in line wanted to manifest as a human being on earth right now, because it's a very exciting time. So each person brings its own gift. Doesn't matter in which there's always a gift there. In your photography, you highlight, you are sensitive enough to know where the gift is, and you accentuate it. But we all have that gift. We need to find it, because that's our truth. A lot of time we hide it because cultural programming, parents, whatever. But we all have our unique gift that we bring with us into this world, and that's what needs to awaken. And I think with the COVID-19 pandemic, it allows to stop and to reevaluate our life. And I think many people will shift as a result. Not everyone, but some people will go back to life as normal. But I think many have had the opportunity to reconsider and reevaluate where they're at, and they'll make a change as a result. And they won't come back to where they were. And that's a gift.
Yeah. Thank you. Do you still have time or?
2 minutes.
Okay. Well, if anybody has any questions, type them in now. We have 2 minutes.
Sorry, I thought it was till 1.
So one of the things I wanted to hear you, we could just maybe end on this note, and the angels talk about it a lot in the book, but what is it? What do they see? How do they see us in our great awakening? How do the angels see us through their lens, through their eyes?
As angels.
Mm-hmm.
In training.
As angels in training.
Yeah. Basically, there's a process of becoming a human. Is a process that you move from the angelic realm, which is a more subtle, energetic light. There's no dark and light. There's no duality, into the birth canal, into a physical life here on earth, which is a choice. And once you move through it in the next few months of life as a baby, or sometime even up to a year or 2 years, you engage in forgetfulness. Once the linguistic capability of a child can actually articulate ideas, they forget. So when you look at a baby's eyes, they're connected to the universe. They're a cosmic being, and they remember, they just can't say it. Because if they could say it, they're like Buddha, they're like little Buddhas. They're moving into their path, into the karmic journey. Once the linguistic capability is becoming strong enough, they will less and less remember where they come from. So, and now the process is through life, through the challenges of life, through the trials, to move back into remembering and awakening through all the challenges. And a lot of times, the most challenging things that we have in life is the awakening signposts. Sometimes it's a disease, sometimes it's an accident, sometimes it's a loss. So where people, like the woman that you said that is in fear because of whatever, sometimes the greatest awakening that we have through life, and if you talk to many people that made something out of themselves, even Oprah, people like that, you'll see that their biggest challenges, the biggest low times, were the changing was the beacon that or the signpost that actually started their ascension or their shift. So sometimes what we see is the most negative, it's actually the biggest gift, which is what COVID-19 is presenting. We can have a lot of twists in it, but from that perspective, it's a gift.
Wow, what a great way to end. Thank you so much, Dror. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything you've brought here today. It's been enlightening to me, hopefully to others, but it definitely was enlightening to me as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Bless you. Have a wonderful day. Text me your address so I can send you something special.
Thank you. Okay. I will. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, an absolute pleasure. Okay. Bye.
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 Okay, so you guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Down the Rabbit Hole with Elle and Dror Ashuah. Check it out. In the description is a link to Dror Ashuah's books on Amazon, so you can check it out, and also to his website, so you can have a look at that. I forgot to mention this. I first reached out to Dror in 2015, 2016, and I wanted to start a group on Facebook or a page on Facebook that was just to celebrate his books and share things from his books. And so if you would like to like that page, I'm going to go ahead and post it today on my Facebook, and I'm posted also on the Freedom Revolution Network. So you guys can go ahead and like that page. We're going to be sharing a lot more in there, and most likely also starting a group of people, a group where we can get together and really have a container and share a lot of this, consciousness and angelic language. So if you're interested, you feel called to that, please like the page, join the group, check out the books. And thank you so much. I'm going to end it here. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Next week, I'm going to be back, but the show is going to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. And then Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, I'll be doing another show where I'm going to be doing oracle card readings. So actually want all of my shows in some way to probably incorporate a lot of the angel books or a passage thereof, since I'm now doing this daily. So thank you guys. So great to do that interview with Dror. I'm just like, wow. Thanks for coming, y'all. Have a good weekend. God bless. Goddess bless. Peace. Oh, you know what? We should end with a good little song, because I'm feeling nostalgic. And this one I just love because it just matches our theme here. Peace.
This is a song for the times, y'all. Show me your peace sign when there's no sign of peace. From the north to the south to the west to the east, from the top 1% to every man in the street, every woman rising up, and every child in the Middle East. It's the little things in this great big world, and it don't matter if you're a boy or a girl, and it don't matter if you're somewhere in between. I know you know what I mean. I wanna be standing next to you, standing next to you, when the revolution comes, when the revolution comes. I wanna be standing next to you, standing next to you, when the revolution comes, when the revolution comes. Show me your peace sign when there's no sign of love.
Praying for you guys
just
right now.
can't sweep hate down under the rug. Too many guns, too many drugs. I got an olive branch, I need a dove. Cause I was born with every blood up in my veins. Every country you could visit, every city you could name. Everyone is different and everyone's the same. I know you know what I'm saying. I wanna be standing next to you, standing next to you, when the revolution comes, when the revolution comes. I wanna be standing next to you, standing next to you, when the revolution comes, when the revolution comes.
Hey guys, praying for all of you to have a wonderful, peaceful, beautiful weekend. Until next week. Bye-bye.